If you think that flawless skin is only possible with very high-end makeup, think again. Today I'm gonna walk you through a detailed everyday makeup tutorial. I'm gonna show you some of my favorite products that are currently available at the drugstore, and I'm gonna give you some techniques that you've probably never seen before that could really help you achieve that flawless but everyday makeup look quickly and easily all by yourself from home. Let's go. Before we dive into the makeup, let me just remind you that the very first step is always skin prep. I actually did that off camera today just to save some time, because if you've been here for a while, you know that we've talked about this a lot. But yes, make sure, of course, to cleanse your face, moisturize, and then please do not skip this step. Apply your sunscreen. It makes all the difference in the world, especially for mature skin. And now we can move into the makeup. Now, this is my client and also my neighbor, Susan. Oh, I love Susan so much. She's become such a good friend of mine. But as you can see, Susan has a really nice amount of brow hair. Yay! That's great, because as we get older, brows tend to get thinner, and that can become a little bit more challenging. Susan doesn't have that issue. She's got a lot of brow hair, which is amazing. But the thing with her brows is that her brow hairs actually grow a little bit downward. And the reason this can be a little bit problematic or troublesome is because when the hairs grow downward, it actually impacts the eye area, or the eye real estate, which is what I like to call it. What it can do, it can reduce the space between the brow bone and the eyelid, and it can also really emphasize hooded eyes and make them appear more closed or even more hooded than they are. So the goal here was to lift up and open the eye area by adjusting the direction of the brow hairs. And how do we do that? We do that by using a brow gel. Now, I wanted to prioritize as many drugstore products as I possibly could in this video. So for her brow gel, I used the Rimmel Kind and Free, which is a really nice brow gel. It's kind of a dupe for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze, but with lighter hold. Okay, Anastasia Beverly Hills is definitely a firmer hold brow gel, but it still works really, really well. All you do is take a spoolie, dip it into the product, and then you use firm pressure to brush the brow hair to lift them into the direction that you want them to be. Once the hairs are shaped, you can then fill in any sparse or hollow areas. Now for the brow pencil, I really wanted to use a drugstore brow pencil, keep this whole thing 100% drugstore. I'm sorry, you guys, this is the only product I think where I didn't use a drugstore product. This is actually the RMS brow pencil. The reason that I like it is because it's quite powdery, and I love the colors that it comes in. They're not too warm. They don't pull red. Most of them are a little bit more ashy, and for someone like Susan with her hair color, her highlights, and then how she lets her whites or her grays grow in, I thought it would be a nice balance of not too cool, not too warm, just in between, the Goldilocks color, you know what I'm saying? Now, if you don't have the budget for RMS, I completely understand. Another brow pencil that you might really like from the drugstore is actually the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer. I use this one quite often as well. Even on myself, I reach for it all the time. This one is super thin, it's precise, it's high quality, it's waxier than RMS. RMS has more of a powdery finish, but if you don't mind that, it's great. It actually is a really great brow pencil at a fraction of the price. All right, let's move into the next step, which is adding a complexion booster before foundation. One common issue I see in women around 45 and up is the skin starts to look a little bit dull or flat. And this usually comes down to the hormonal changes that happen during perimenopause and menopause. As estrogen levels drop, our skin can lose some of its natural hydration and that glow. It's like a youthful glow. And because we've lost that glow, foundation can sit unevenly, or it can start looking a bit flat or even cakey. I don't know if any of you have noticed that, but that can happen very quickly. It's like it doesn't happen and then it just happens all of a sudden during this midlife time. So to bring that healthy, radiant look back, I love starting with a complexion booster. It's a simple step, but it makes a big difference. It adds that soft glow, helps everything else sit more beautifully on the skin. Now, before we dive into the application of that, since we're on the topic of changes that come with midlife anyway, I want to take a moment to tell you about today's sponsor, MIDI Health. MIDI is the leading virtual care clinic specializing in perimenopause and menopause in the United States. The changes that we go through in midlife can be really overwhelming, to say the least. And for too long, women are left to figure it out alone. Did you know that 80% of OBGYNs aren't trained in menopause care, and 75% of physicians are uncomfortable even talking about menopause symptoms? So because of that, most women who do seek help don't actually end up receiving any treatment at all. And that's exactly why I accepted this partnership today, because MIDI is finally changing the game for women, and honestly, it is about time. So this is how it works. You just book a virtual visit from the comfort of your home, you meet with a clinician, and then if needed, MIDI arranges testing at a local center for you. You'll also get ongoing follow-ups to fine-tune your care plan, which is really important. They listen, they test, and then they follow through. It's also covered by insurance in all 50 states, because I'm sure you are wondering that. And here's something new, okay? So if you've heard about MIDI, here's something that you probably haven't heard about that's new and is gonna be really interesting to many of you. They just launched something called longevity care, which is available for women of all ages. So when you book a MIDI Age Well visit, also covered by insurance, you will get a personalized wellness plan that may include things like supplements, lifestyle coaching, treatments, and cutting edge health screenings to detect cancer and other health concerns really early. And most importantly, you'll have 24/7 access to providers who specialize in women's health and genuinely care about you. Getting a handle on our health right now really allows us to grow more vibrant as we age. And I am very passionate about that, as I'm sure you can tell. So if you want to learn more, check out the link in my description box below. And now let's get back to radiance boosters. I am using the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. This product is incredible. It is affordable, it's effective, it gives a beautiful, soft focus finish to the face, a soft glow, it's not sparkly, it comes in different shades. All I do when I use this is I apply a thin, even layer across the entire face using a complexion brush. You can also apply it with your fingers if that's easier for you, like you would a moisturizer. If you have areas that get oily, like the T-zone, say you have an oily T-zone, I would skip those spots to avoid looking greasy later in the day, but you can still apply it on your cheeks or on the sides or wherever else isn't gonna get too shiny. It makes the skin come alive. Sometimes I even use this completely on its own in the summer. It really makes your skin come alive. Now we are moving into underpainting. So the reason we are underpainting is because it helps us keep the foundation light by correcting and sculpting underneath the foundation. So we're doing all of the corrective work underneath. So we don't need such heavy layers of foundation to cover any problem areas that we may struggle with. Okay, so Susan has a bit of redness on her cheeks and on her chin. So in this case, I grabbed my NYX color correcting palette, really affordable, really great. And I applied the green color just in the areas that were a little bit red. And then she also has some darkness under her eyes right here in the hollow. So for her, I applied a pink base corrector to brighten and balance that area. I use the Maybelline concealer for that. They have a corrector color in like a soft pink, which is perfect for kind of fair to light skin tones. So I spot corrected that, and then I blended everything out using a stippling motion and a concealer brush. For under her eyes, you'll notice that I am actually using my fingers and not a concealer brush. I find that when it comes to under eye concealer, particularly when we have more mature skin, the warmth of our fingers really helps to push and melt the products into the skin for a smoother but also a brighter look. When it comes to contouring, I use the e.l.f. Halo Glow Contour Stick. This is a really affordable, very blendable product with great undertones. These undertones don't pull too warm, so they're not as much bronzer contour shades. They really can look more like traditional contours, but they also won't make you look like a skeleton, if you know what I'm saying. If you know, you know. So I started by contouring her jawline to define and tighten any laxity here. And then I also applied it just under the high points of the cheekbone for lift. Now, when it comes to this step, do not apply it too low, okay? Especially if you have a slimmer face like Susan does. You don't want to apply that too low or it's really going to like collapse your face. You want to apply it pretty much where the cheekbone is, move slightly lower, and that's going to lift the face without collapsing the face in. I also also applied it on the sides of the nose to gently slim and define. And then I stippled and blended it all in. Don't over blend because we are underpainting. So foundation is going to go on top of it and naturally soften everything. If you over blend in this step, sometimes what will happen is when you put your foundation on, all of that work you've just done, it disappears. So leave it a little heavier than you're comfortable with, and then you can go on top with your actual foundation. Now, before we move into foundation, I have a quick reminder. I was looking at my analytics and noticed that the majority of people who watch my videos regularly are not subscribed. So if you've been enjoying these tutorials or you're getting value from them, I'd really love it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, and then it lets me keep creating content just like this for you. I really do appreciate having you here so much. So thank you to all of you who have subscribed already. Moving into foundation. For foundation, I am using the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear, which is a phenomenal drugstore foundation. And I applied it with the BK Beauty 116 small round complexion brush, which is also an incredible complexion brush. Okay, if you need a complexion brush, I love this one. It is the perfect size to fit into all of the little crevices that you need. It's not too big, it's not too small, it has great brush density. I applied this product using a stippling, which is a pouncing motion. Do not rub the brush across the skin because rubbing is going to disrupt the underpainting, turning it into a muddy mess. We have green, we have pink, we have contour. We don't want to rub and muddy everything up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to press, because pressing builds coverage while keeping everything underneath intact. For under her eyes, that small amount of pinky color correction was enough on its own. I was actually surprised, but as soon as we applied that little pinky color correction in the underpainting step, it totally neutralized her under eyes. So I didn't need to, and I didn't add any extra concealer. It just wasn't needed. And this is a reminder that makeup isn't paint by numbers. Sometimes what can happen is when we see tutorials online, we'll start doing things exactly the way that that tutorial showed to do it. But makeup isn't paint by numbers. It's very individualized. So you only need to correct what actually needs correcting. And when it comes to under eyes and mature skin, we need to minimize the amount of products we put under there because there's a lot of expression and the skin isn't taut anymore or very thick. So what's going to happen is it's going to crease. The more products you have under the eyes, the more it's going to crease. So as soon as I realized that color corrector popped her under eyes out, I left it at that. There was no more work that needed to be done there, with the exception of setting with a powder. We did go in then with a translucent under eye powder. My go-to is the Laura Mercier one made specifically for under the eyes. I know it's expensive and this one isn't drugstore either, but I really think this powder is worth it if you're trying to minimize under eye creasing. It's like the best one on the market in my opinion. So all I did is I took a very small amount of it and I gently pressed and patted under the eyes to set the color corrector and have it move less throughout the day. And as you can see, I did the same on the eyelids to control the oil there and prevent creasing throughout the day as well. Let's move right into blush. So for her blush, I use the CoverGirl True Blend Blush Stick. This again is a gorgeous drugstore cream blush that honestly rivals many high-end options from Sephora. As a creamy texture, beautiful pigment, great colors, and also blends like a dream, which is what's always very important for me. One application tip I can give you is do not just swipe this on the face. Like I said, we've done a lot of work on the complexion with the underpainting and the contouring. We don't want to disrupt it. That's reason number one. Reason number two is you have a lot less control. So even if you're not underpainting, you're not contouring, you're just applying a tinted sunscreen and you're applying blush, you will have so much more control if you actually apply it to the back of your hand. And then you take your blush brush, you swirl it on your hand, you really pack those bristles with that cream product, you evenly distribute it along the bristles, and then you pounce it onto the cheeks using the same stippling motion you used with the foundation. It's gonna look way better that way. If you learn anything from this video, it is to apply your cream blush like that. I'm gonna give you a technique tip, not to go on a tangent, but I'm gonna go on a tangent. When we are working with wet products, so cream on cream, cream corrector, cream contour, liquid foundation, cream blush, you're gonna wanna pat all those steps in because you're doing cream on cream on cream. Cream products stick. They don't glide easily, so patting is the key to keep things smooth and seamless. Now, when working with powder on powder, then it's okay to buff. So powder foundation, powder bronzer, powder contour, powder blush, Then if you're doing that, you can absolutely buff everything in. In fact, you're gonna want to buff and not stipple because powder looks better buffed on, cream looks better stippled on. So a lot of beginners, I think they struggle with this, and they struggle not because the products they're using is bad, like they struggle getting that perfect complexion. When I would have my assistants, I would always talk to them about this. It's not because they don't have the right kit or a very expensive kit. It's because they're using the wrong application method. And with the wrong application method, you can make the most high-end, most luxurious, most amazing products look bad. It makes all the difference. Stippling, buffing, circularing it on. That's not even a word, but you know what I'm saying. That makes all the difference in the finish. Now, before working on the eyes, I decided to actually go in with the lips first. I'll do this sometimes if I need some help visually balancing the face and making sure that I am going in the right direction. The blush and the lips and the brows being done, I can see the structure of the face and then I know where to take it. So for Susan today, I used the Maybelline Lifter Liner, and I used it to not only define her lip shape, but I also filled in the entire lip line with it. Now, the reason that I did this is because it gives a really nice base to the lipstick and adds a lot of staying power. Then I added the Maybelline Vinyl Ink over top for really, really extra long lasting wear. We have that waxy liner and we have that long wear lipstick. That lip is not going anywhere for a very, very long time. This soft rose shade combination was beautiful and it made her feel so confident and happy, and it made me happy to see that. So after seeing how well the lip color worked out, how much she loved it, I decided to keep the same color family for her cheeks and her eyes. So staying with a cohesive color story across the lips, the cheeks, and the eyes is a very simple way to bring harmony and balance to any look. If you ever feel like a look is out of balance, just match up those three colors somehow. Add your blush to the contour of your eye, pop in a gloss that matches that color, and the whole entire thing will like snap into place. Finally, the next step was eyes. So for eyes, I use this. This is the e.l.f. Perfect 10 eyeshadow, and this is in the shade Nude Mood. This is really actually a great drugstore palette, very versatile. It's simple and basic, but it reminds me so much. It's almost identical. I think it's probably a dupe for the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette. The new one that came out with the cooler tones, it has essentially the exact same tones. So it's a really good budget friendly option if you want a set of shadows that you can wear every day that are very easy to wear, versatile, and matte. So I started with this rosy brown shade right here, and I applied this to the crease of her eyes using a crease brush and windshield wiper motions, and that was to add depth and contour to the crease. Then I took that same color and I used a dense smudge brush to shade the bottom lash line. With hooded eyes, this step really is key. The top lid shadow can get so lost when the eyes are open because they are deeper set. So under lash shading really brings the eyes forward. It brings focus and attention to the eyes. And sometimes with hooded eyes, the eyes can get lost, right? If you want to bring them forward, make sure to shade underneath so that when your eyes open, you don't lose all your shadow work. After that, I went in with this guy, which is a matte vanilla shade, and I used it on the eyelid and on the brow bone for brightness and for a little bit of contrast with that crease. I wanted to pop that lid forward, pop that crease back to make her eyes appear a little bit more open. For the outer corners, I ended up switching to a smaller crease brush. If you like doing smoky eyes, you should probably get a small crease brush because they're really nice for smoking out that outer corner of the eye, but still in a very soft, kind of natural way. And I just dipped into this guy, which is a deeper brown shade, to do that with. I love doing this eye look. It's so simple, but that little outer corner shading does a really nice job of adding a very sultry lift to the eyes. It works incredibly well on hooded eyes as well. Now, after this, you could curl your lashes, apply mascara, and call it a day and go, and you would look fantastic, super polished, beautiful. But I did want to take it a little bit deeper. I wanted to take it slightly more evening, and I wanted to enhance her blue eyes quite a bit more. So after that, I lined the top and the bottom lash line with a very dark brown pencil. While the liner was still soft and not set, I immediately smudged it out with a brush to keep it blended and natural looking, that really soft, sexy smudge, right? I didn't wing it or anything. I just kept it right on the lash line, blended and smoked out. I did the same thing to the bottom lash line, but kept it a little tighter, a little closer to the lash line. And then I finished with mascara on both the top and the bottom lashes for definition and of course for balance. As a very last step, you guys know that I have such a hard time keeping things simple. My gosh, it's like my demise here on YouTube, but I needed to glam her up because this is glam girl Gabi. So as a very last step, I added these self-stick lash clusters by Kiss. We've talked about lash clusters quite a bit in the last few weeks here on the channel. So I wanted to show you a drugstore option. So these are really, really nice. They are not as high-end as velour or as fluffy or light, but they do actually look very nice and they are very easy to add to the eyes as well. So I added 2 clusters only to both sides, just on the outer corner, and I called it a day. I know it's a little hard to see where I put them or how I did it here. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that my hand was in the way of the camera shot, but I'm actually working on a step-by-step lash cluster video this week for you. I promise, you've been asking, it's happening. I'm gonna do it this week because there's just such a huge demand for it. So stay tuned for that, okay? That's coming. I promise it's gonna be a tutorial. You're gonna know exactly how to apply lash clusters. It's gonna demystify the whole damn thing for you. And there we have it. This is how the beautiful Susan looked in the before and how she looked in the after. If I were to do her makeup again, and I'm being 100% blatantly honest, I would smudge out the bottom lash line a little bit more because after watching it back several weeks after the application, I think the bottom lash line could use a little bit more diffusion. It's not that it doesn't look good. It looks really pretty, but I'm such a perfectionist and I feel like that bottom lash line could be a little bit softer. But overall, she does look great and she really, really loved it. She texted me several times after telling me that she felt incredible and felt super beautiful. And that is always, always my main goal. So I'm happy with that. Thank you so much everyone for watching. If you have any questions, definitely leave it in the comments below because I do take hours every day to read and respond to as many comments as I possibly can. I really hope that you feel beautiful today too. This video is over.